Hi class, this is Professor Barry Brennan. I'm here to talk to my argumentation class today, and we will be talking about types of reasoning. We're going to be looking at reasoning in terms of the different ways that we create arguments, deductively and inductively. And we're going to spend a little time on both of those categories in terms of reasoning. Okay, so let's get straight to the PowerPoint. I imagine that these videos are probably going to be at least 2, if not 3, videos long. So let's go. Okay, here we are. Take me to the start from this. Okay, types of reasoning. So one of the things that you're learning in argumentation is understanding that arguments are really based upon facts and how you construct the argument to back up what you're saying. That there's a specific kind of construction that happens in an argument. That word often gets overused, and we don't think of it in terms, we think of it like it's emotional, and you can get emotional about it. But really, when we're going to look at it in terms of how do you actually construct an argument and make it rock solid, like what kind of research do you use, your data, how do you back it up, how do we make sense of it? We're going to kind of look at logic. We'll talk about syllogisms. But rational means it's something that is logical, that makes sense, follows a line of reasoning. So arguments are rational when they correspond with accepted standards of reasoning. We have certain standards of reasoning. One of it has to do with logic. Does it make sense? Does it follow a certain order? The reasoning process happens this way. First, we identify the grounds or data used to develop those claims. So we identify where is that argument? What's the context in which we're making that argument from, right? Figuring that out. So we're going to make an argument for the need to, let's talk about Newsom's proposal. The need to move to, by 2050, California has all, from this point forward, any new car that you purchase is an electric car. Okay, so identifying the grounds or data used to develop those claims. So he's making that projected. He's claiming we need to do that. Well, where does that come from, right? Where is that coming from? Well, it's based upon certain claims that we're making, or the data which suggests that our cars, the way we're living our lives, the kind of cars that we drive, are contributing to pollution, which is killing us and killing our environment. So it's killing humans and killing also the animals that live here, and the trees and the flora and the fauna and all of that. And that's just one piece, right? But he's saying, hey, this is something that we can do. And he's letting car makers know this is what has to happen, and we're going to do that in this state. Okay, and the reasoning process also involves analyzing the data, which I'm doing, right? Utilizing inductive or deductive reasoning. So I'm actually kind of using both when I talk about this. So deductive, you're actually following a really pretty tight line of logic, how you deduce things. Inductive is when you're making inferences, when you're drawing correlations between things. And we're going to talk more about that. So it's a little different, but there is a reasoning process that oftentimes we go back and forth between them. Okay. And a reasoning process involves stating a claim or conclusion. So when you state a claim or conclusion, when you're like your propositions, when we get into your debate, you'll come up with a proposition. Your proposition is like a conclusion, like you're going to base your whole argument on this proposition that you are arguing for. So state a claim or conclusion that builds upon the data presented and constitutes original thinking. So that's what we're looking for. How are you thinking about this in an original way? How can you take something as you work on in this class in argumentation, and you engage in the discussion board and talk about different things that I give you to talk about? How do you engage in that in a way using a certain reasoning process to come up with your own ideas? So we're going to look at syllogisms. I love syllogisms for a couple different reasons. One is they totally make sense. Like, it's like math. If you're a math person, you're going to love syllogisms because there's pretty much only one way you can do them. Like, they follow a line of reasoning and you have to figure that out and understand how that reasoning works. And that's it. It's pretty black and white. There's not a lot of gray area there. And I think that's why I like them, because I can figure it out. Boom, it's done. If you have a lawyer mind, like, syllogisms are going to be your thing. You're going to love them. So a syllogism is a formal or logical type of reasoning that contains three statements: major premise, a minor premise, and conclusion. Now, what I'm going to tell you is I'll be having you work on these actually in the discussion board. I'm going to have you do a activity where you're going to play with this and figure out, like, if you have this major premise and you have the conclusion, what can you make the assumption? How do you get to the minor premise? And we're going to break that down. You're getting an idea of how that works. So deductive syllogism, the deductive syllogism. So this is the basic syllogism that everyone understands. And I'm going to give you that one that you've heard a million times. So, all men are mortal. Socrates is a man. What do you assume? Socrates is mortal, right? Why do you assume that? Let's break it down. Before we even get into this, I want you to break it down in your minds right now. So you have the statement, all men are mortal. So you can break this down in a couple different ways. You can break it down where you write it down, or you can think in terms of, and you probably learned this in math. Think of like the huge circle, right? Represents all men. Okay, all men are mortal, an aspect of men, but all men are mortal, right? Socrates is a man. So you have this, the mortals in here, men are in all men are mortal. So the mortals, actually, that's the big part. Okay, mortal. The men are in there, and Socrates is a man. You with me so far? So if we know Socrates, if men are within the mortality, if we know Socrates is, and I'm very visual, so I like to think of things in terms of I'm visual, and I think in terms of shapes. So if we have the mortality here, and men, another circle within that is men, and we know that Socrates is in the men circle, we know that Socrates is a man, and we know Socrates is mortal. Okay, so you can break it down that way, right? You can draw circles and think of it. All men are mortal. Socrates is a man. Therefore, we know that Socrates is mortal. Okay, keep this in mind. Try to put it in your mind. You got the big, huge circle represents mortality. Because there's more than one thing that's mortal, right? You could have animals in there. You could have dogs and cats. We could have women. You've got mortality. That's the big circle. And you have men in there. And we say Socrates is a man, so he's in the man circle. And the men circle is within the mortality circle, which is a bigger circle. So we know that Socrates is mortal. I think this might help you to think of it in terms of this idea, than just in writing it. If you're not a linear person, it might be hard to see it linearly. Maybe you need to think of it conceptually. That's the word I was looking for earlier. Think of it conceptually. I'm a very conceptual thinker. Okay, let's move on. So we've got major premise, states a generalization. All men are mortal. That's a generalization. Minor premise states a specific case or class of the generalization. So we took from all men, Socrates is a man. So we pulled that generalization, all men are mortal. The mortal is the big category. The men is a smaller category. And then we come up with, what can we deduce? That if Socrates is a man and all men are mortal, then we know that Socrates is mortal. Let's just take this. All students at I think I gave you an example. We'll just go with this example. We'll just keep playing with this. All students at Fresno City College are intelligent. Serena is a Fresno City College student. What do we know about Serena then? Serena's intelligent, right? We know she is intelligent. Okay, so this is known as a categorical syllogism. It's your basic syllogism because we're going to talk about different syllogisms, but I want to play with this for a little while so you really understand it, because a lot of times students get lost in this. So let's keep playing with it. So we say all women have babies. Okay. All women have children or babies. And here's the other part of it. Okay. And I'm giving you this for a reason. Syllogisms are a construction. It doesn't mean it's the truth. It's a construction. It's a reasoning construction. Are you with me? So it's a construction that is important. The syllogism is a reasoning process, but it's a construction of it. There's two things. It doesn't always mean that it is the truth. We're talking about the construction of it. So if we're going to treat it as a construction, not as showing the truth, okay, the truth as in the empirical truth. Are you with me? But the construction, if we say all women have babies, Lolita is a woman. Lolita has babies. Now, all women don't have babies. We already know that. The first example I gave you about all men are mortal, we know that all men are mortal, right? We know that's the truth. But it's the construction that we want to look at. Not so much what it's the truth, it's the construction. But what you can also see is how do people arrive at these things? Like how do they come up, how do they deduce, get to the conclusion of things, and to see that their deduction abilities this is critical thinking, folks, that they have good deduction abilities. I'm looking at the time. We're going to spend a little more time on this and then I'm going to stop. Let's give you another example. All horses are orange. Toby is a horse. Toby is orange. All right, again, orange is a big category. We've got horses in the orange. Toby's in with the horses. Toby's orange. Okay, you have to keep thinking that way. You can't say, I'll give you an example that's incorrect. Okay, this is an incorrect example. All roses are red. My glasses are red. You cannot deduce that my glasses are a rose. You see why? Let's take that. All roses are red. So the major category there is red. All roses then fall in the red category. All roses are in there. And then you say, my glasses are red. My glasses are a totally separate category from the roses. Okay, can you see that? So you've got the circle, you've got another circle that says roses, then you have another circle within the red circle that says glasses. My glasses don't equal roses. They just happen to be red. There's no relationship. You can't make a deduction. But if you say all roses are red, let's see, how do I go with that? June is a rose. Let's just say I named the rose. June is red. You have to state what is a rose. You have to state that piece within there into the big category. Okay, but you can't go with the big category and then draw a conclusion. Are you with me? I'm trying to make sense of it for you. And I think that visual will help you of why that was wrong. And I'm going to have to stop talking now. Okay, I'll see you guys in a little bit.